Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the AGM of Seraphim Space Investment Trust plc. It's 11 a.m. on the 25th of November 2025. I'm Will Whitehorn, Chair of Seraphim Space Investment Trust plc, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to the company's 4th annual general meeting. I can confirm that a quorum is present and therefore declare the meeting open. I'm not allowed to wear my glasses by our sound recorders because of this mic, so if I can't see something, I'll let you know and I'll stop and put them on. Before getting on with the formalities, I'd first like to introduce our non-executive board. Ms. Sue Ingalls, Angela Lane, and Christina McComb. I'd like to introduce the investment management team looking after your investment on the day-to-day basis, that they do very well indeed as well. Mark Boggett, Sarah Shackleton, James Brugger.
James is not in the room today.
James is not here, sorry. And as there are shareholders present, we will formalise the meeting, and I'll read you out briefly what we have said today. Despite the volatility which continues to impact markets globally, the board is pleased with the progress made to date and believes the company is well placed to achieve its investment objective of generating capital growth over the long term. Our investment manager is actively pursuing an extensive pipeline of investment opportunities and progressing those opportunities that offer the best risk to return ratio, and with a focus on quality of the investment thesis. The board remains confident in the company's outlook for the future and in the disciplined approach of the investment manager to pursue potential future investments and the continued careful management of the existing portfolio. The company released its Q1 results early this morning. The company's NAV as of 30 September 2025 was £283.6 million, which is an increase since the year-end 30th of June 2025. I'm now going to turn to Mark Boggett, the Chief Executive of the Seraphim Fund Manager LLP, who is going to give us a brief presentation and a review of the quarter. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Will. Well, thank you for so many people coming today. We've got a record number of attenders at the AGM, and we've also got record results for the second quarter, announcing our largest ever NAV. So you can see the figures here. We've increased NAV to £1.19 and 55 pence. This has really largely been driven by the performance of one of our portfolio companies, Hawkeye 360, which has gone through a revaluation as a consequence of corporate activity, along with underlying growth in contracts and revenue. The NAV per share represents net assets of 283.6 million. But of course, there is a significant discount that we are subject to. The company still has a decent level of liquid resources. We've got 19.4 million in cash, but we also have 8.7 million in listed portfolio companies, a number of which we've sold outside of the period. So we believe that the fund is well resourced for the year ahead. So just to remind everybody that of the bigger picture for Seraphim, Seraphim is the most prolific investor in the space market globally. We've got a portfolio of nearly 150 companies when you include our private and our public portfolio. Seraphim was the first fund to launch a space fund back in 2016. And then in 2021, we launched SSIT, which is the world's first and only listed space fund. Our partners include some of the world's largest space companies, and we're at the heart of this global ecosystem, which enables us to receive a giant global deal flow. To put that into perspective, we're seeing around 150 to 200 SpaceTech deals per month. So this provides us with an information asymmetry and conviction that we generate from seeing all these deals is the bedrock to our past and future success. So let's move on to the actual presentation, if I may. So starting with the headlines, so the NAV is up by just short of 1%. from 118.52 to 119.5 pence. So over the same period, the share price has decreased from 85.6 pence to 70.8 pence, with the discount to NAV having increased from 28% to 41%. So the net assets of £284 million are only valued by the market at £168 million. So we've consistently stated that we believe that this discount is not representative of the true value of the portfolio, where the underlying portfolio continues to go from strength to strength over recent quarters. So this is particularly true this quarter, where we've announced our second company that's driven by defence revenues with a significant increase in their valuation. So we believe over a period of time the market is going to better recognise this position and to narrow this discount. So the charts that you can probably barely see here, I won't spend too much time on, but really the indices that we compare ourselves against across a broad range of defence and climate indices, we're broadly in line with. In relation to our AIC peer group, you can see that the performance of our share price and their collective aggregate share price has been very variable. Sometimes during the year we're outperforming quite significantly, other times below. We've ended the year marginally below, and that's largely as a result of Petersfield having a significant uplift in their valuation. So moving on to the balance sheet at the 30th of September, this sets out our NAV bridge. The NAV increased from 283.6 million during the period from 281, which was at the 30th of June. So the portfolio fair value increased by £3.4 million over the period, and the NAV per share increased to 119.55 over the period. As mentioned, the portfolio is well capitalised. In the year to 30th of June, the portfolio raised $2.1 billion, which is twice the amount that it raised the year before. We hold 6.8% of NAV in cash, 19.4 million. We've got that listed element that was valued at 8.7 million at the end of the period. And we have, outside of the period, sold down a number of those holdings, releasing around another 6 million in cash to the fund. So the period of the quarter had limited investment activity. We only did 3 follow-on investments that were all small, investing 1.5 million, and there were no new investments during the period. The most notable transaction was Allspace, where the fund advanced another tranche of bridge funding alongside the other existing shareholders towards the closing of the anticipated equity and debt round that has since closed outside of the period. So this is a chart that you might recognise from my presentation last quarter, and what it does is it sets out the importance of space and the areas in which space is supporting the defence markets. I wanted to spend just a few minutes just to really identify how well the top 10 portfolio companies are spread across these different areas that are vital for defence around the world. In particular, you can notice that there is the broadest number of portfolios companies in the intelligence section. This is intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance. This is where we have focused on trying to invest into the emerging category leaders that use different types of sensors to have different types of capabilities for different markets. We've talked a huge amount about ICEYE in previous periods, and we saw a very significant uplift in the valuation of ICEYE in the last period because of major contracts that it's been winning during the course of the last 6 months. That's continued during this period, where ICEYE has also signed up Finland as a major contract, and that's after winning major contracts with NATO, with Portugal, and with Portugal and with the Netherlands in the last few quarters. In this quarter, ISI has also signed up contracts with the Japanese. So it's much broader than just the European players that are looking to get access to ISI's capability. They've also upgraded their satellites. So their latest satellites in the latest generation of the ISI satellites, they've now moved the resolution from 25 centimetre resolution to 16 centimetre resolution. So this essentially means that ISI is now able to see something the size of a dinner plate versus something the size of a car wheel previously. But importantly, they've also increased their field of vision. So they're now able to, and they've increased that by 250% between the previous generation and this generation of satellites. They're now able to see 400 kilometres with a single satellite. So as they're travelling across oceans, they're able to see more than an entire naval fleet of ships. They're able to look at entire coastal lines in a single pass. So what we've also announced is that Hawkeye 360 has also gone through a similar process in recent quarters. They don't actually announce contract wins in the same way that ISI does because they're very focused on defence. But they have announced that they've improved their satellites with the launch of their 12th constellation. Each of their constellations or clusters of satellites has 3 satellites so that they can triangulate on the ground. So they have improved their triangulation capability to be able to identify the actual location of targets by 15x during the increase in this latest generation. So there's a very significant movement. This company has commercial activity that is underway that's enabled us to revalue this business during the quarter, and it's valued up by £9 million. We're not able to talk about that activity as it's confidential at the moment. These are private companies, but I'm sure by next quarter the company itself would have released the information, and we can then talk about that within the public domain. So as you can see here from the charts, there's really not much movement in the data on the left-hand side of the charts. The key change in the right-hand side of the charts is really 2 things this quarter. Hawkeye up by £9 million, and ISI, which saw a modest downward adjustment in fair value to fully reflect the terms of corporate activity that are currently underway. And similar to Hawkeye, we can't release the information about that corporate activity until the company actually releases that information itself. However, if we were going to be continuing to value these companies on the basis of the multiple analysis that we'd done, methodology that we'd done in previous rounds, there would have been just a marginal increase in the valuation in this period. During the course of the next 6 months, we will revert back to the multiples-based methodology for valuing both of these companies. So that brings an end to the sort of presentation and an update as to where we are. Hopefully you'll see that there's growth coming through from our 2 leading ISR companies, but we're really excited about the other companies that are serving the space market, particularly those in ISR, such as Satellite View and such as Pixel, which we believe are going to start releasing their own information about contract wins during the course of the year.
Thank you,
So
Mark.
thank you, Will.
And the share price has improved slightly since the period end. It's sitting at about 77 pence at the moment. So I propose now to turn to the formal business of the meeting. And as is customary, I will take the notice convening the meeting published on the 21st of October 2025 as read. Prior to the deadline for the receipt of proxy votes, we received 47 proxies appointing the chair of the meeting, that's moi, representing 69,830,459 shares. Where discretion has been granted to the chair, I intend to vote those shares in favour. Resolutions 1 to 11 are ordinary resolutions and as such require a simple majority of votes in favour to be passed. Resolutions 12 to 14 are special resolutions and as such require a majority of 75% of the votes cast in favour to be passed. I demand a poll for all resolutions in accordance with Article 99 of the Company's Articles of Association. We will now proceed to the poll demand on all resolutions. Computershare will act as scrutineer for the poll, who are here today. If shareholders are present, I'm going to read this, and this is what this is for your edification and mine. I would like to advise you of the following with regard to the completion of the aforesaid poll cards. If you have already submitted a proxy card to the registrar and do not wish to change your vote, please do not complete the poll card. If you are voting as a third-party proxy or corporate representative, please also write the full name of the person, company you have been appointed to represent. If you know the number of shares which you hold and are representing, or if you are voting on a lesser number of shares than the total holding, please write this number at the top of the card. If 2 or more persons are jointly registered as shareholders, any one of those may vote, but only one. In the event that more than one joint shareholder votes, the vote of the senior joint holder will be accepted to the exclusion of the others. Seniority will be determined by the order in which the names appear on their register. Please remember to sign your poll card, otherwise your vote will not be counted. The votes cast will be verified under the scrutiny of Computershare. Any questions on the voting before we move on? We will move on with the voting. And as you can tell, I did British Airways helicopter cabin crew training when I was very young, and reading out safety notices, of which this is a very similar nature. So the poll. We now proceed with the poll, and the final results of the voting will be published via a stock exchange announcement this afternoon, and will also be posted on our website. There are no further items of official business on the agenda. I declare the poll closed. I ask Computershare to tabulate the voting results. Well, thank you all very much, and that brings us to the end of today's formal proceedings. I declare the annual general meeting closed. Thank you.